we went to hell and back because we tried to use the system.
When the politicians say if good parents have been criminalised for a light smack just to correct the children, we'll change the law. Well, good parents, those who lightly smack the children to correct them, are already being criminalised. Because whenever they smack the children in order to correct them, they commit a criminal offence.
Erik and Lisa made no secret of the fact that their daughter was difficult to handle. In desperation, they approached a public health nurse for help, admitting that they did sometimes use a smack. Despite having no previous history with child, youth and family, they ended up with their daughters in care and a police investigation.
Well, I didn't go to parenting help. I went to the public health nurse because I had a child who was very strong-willed, was becoming quite abusive and destructive at home, and we had tried every method we could think of to settle it down, and we just were at our wits' end. No one was offering us any help. Absolutely no one. I'd gone to schools and asked them. It's not like we hadn't looked for alternatives, and we knew that with Abigail, a smack on the bottom sometimes was the only thing that would bring her out of her meltdowns.
It was as a result of such a meltdown that Erik found himself in hot water.
We put her in her room and she was getting her bunk beds and slamming them against the wall and yelling and screaming abuse at us. So Erik went in, because I'd already tried to settle her, and said, if you don't stop, you will get a smack bottom.
Just an open hand smack on the bottom. That's all it was.
Then we got a phone call about 10 to 3 on the Friday saying there has been a report of abuse to SIFs. They said, well, can you find somewhere for your children to stay, because we would like them out of the house until this is sorted. And I really didn't know what to say, quite honestly. I was so shocked that I didn't know what to do, and I thought if I refused to move them that they might come in and take my kids and send them somewhere they didn't know. You don't expect to be phoned and told that you're being investigated for abuse and you have to have your children gone.
I said to Lace, did they say what to do, how to handle it? And she says no. And I said, well, give me the number, I'll call them. And I called and I said, well, what do we tell the children? How do we handle this? And she said, well, just tell them the truth. Because Daddy hit her, causing a big bruise, she's got to go somewhere, and you're going to get some help so this never ever happens again. And I said, well, okay, that answers one question, but that raises a heck of a lot more. I said, what bruise? And number two, I've never hit my daughters.
They had an enforced time away from their parents. We couldn't go and see them without another adult with us. It wasn't a sleepover for them. It wasn't a fun time. They knew that Dad, if he got into trouble, could go to jail.
Several times we phoned back and talked with them and said, is there any way to move this forward? No, it can't possibly meet. Call us on Monday. We'll talk about it then.
It had a huge effect on our family. My daughter, who sleeps all the time, couldn't get to sleep at night. Our other one ran around the house locking doors so no one could come and take her in the night, and it just made us distrustful. We decided from the word go that we would tell the truth, and you felt like that truth was going to get you into big trouble.
We were given a critical rating. Critical is the same rating that's given if a child has got cigarette burns or has been raped or has broken bones. I am still at a loss as to how we ended up with a critical rating. If they were that concerned that they had to remove the children from our home, they should have come and investigated immediately.
Erik and Lisa received an apology from the local Office of Child, Youth and Family, but Department Head Peter Hughes still stands by SIF's actions as being appropriate.
We didn't get prosecuted, but that was because there was good work on behalf of a few people. If it had been left up to SIFs and other people, we would have been.
The crux of the problem is that two health professionals decided to link two unrelated incidences. A smack that had happened the day before and a bruise that they had cited 2 weeks before, and make them into one incident to present as fact to SIF.
The government's response to these cases has been to commission the latter review into the actions of police and Child, Youth and Family. Despite not once speaking to the individuals concerned, the report found that government agencies had acted appropriately. The family's testimony was labelled unsafe.
The difficulty for Family First is what all they have is the account of the person who's talking to them, and people aren't always completely honest about the stuff that's gone on.
For Mr Latter to arrive at that conclusion on the basis of that case would mean either that he's being dishonest, which I don't think he is, or that all he did as part of his review of that case was to merely read the original summary of facts or summary of allegations and essentially put aside any professional expertise in terms of assessing the case in terms of outcome and merely act, from my perspective, as a rubber stamp.
That makes me angry, and that when we come up and say that we disagree with the Latter report, that information is wrong, he goes, oh no, it must be right because they gave it to me. Well, it's wrong. And we have no recourse. We have tried to say you have received the wrong information and the Prime Minister will not listen.
We're still fighting this because the summary that was presented in the Latter report of our family is defamatory. It's wrong. The picture that it paints of our family is completely false. We're a loving, normal family. And if you read that summary, it sounds like we're an abusive, troubled family that just somehow got away with it. It says, among other things, that one of our daughters was sexually abused and that we were aware of it. And it's a complete and utter lie. The only abuse that's happened to our kids has been this. It's been having to go through this process. John Key still needs to put this to rights. He said if this happens, he'll fix it. Well, he needs to fix it.